You know, one issue that still appears in our inbox more than most is the amount it costs to heat our homes. So I think we'd all jump at the chance to stay warm and save money. Now, that's exactly the promise used by one company as the winning sales pitch for its cutting-edge new heating system, said to be so efficient it can slash your bills by up to 70%. And who wouldn't fancy that? But some of the families who paid thousands of pounds to get their old heating system ripped out and the new one put in have seen those assurances go up in smoke, literally, when their smart new radiators started going dangerously wrong. Wood or coal fires, gas or electricity? When it comes to heating your home, there's plenty of choice on how to do it. But staying warm and not spending too much money at the same time can be a challenge, which is why Enid Hall from Doncaster found herself in the market for something new.
The first heating we had was a coal fire, but then we had gas central heating put in, and over the years it didn't give us the heating that we needed. We found that having it on a lot of hours, it was costing a lot of money.
So a cold call from heating company Complete Energy Europe in June 2015 couldn't have come at a better time. The company, which is not to be confused with other firms with similar sounding names, told Enid about its innovative new heating system that couldn't fail to save her money. And when a salesman popped in with more details, Enid signed up on the spot.
He was here about 4 hours explaining the brochure. It looked really good. It was going to be on 24/7. If you'd got it set at 18 degrees, then it would click in just below 18 degrees, and when it went above 18 degrees, it would click off. It says in the brochure 70% saving. So we thought, yeah, that sounds good.
Those bold claims that the system would slash Enid's energy bills by up to 70% were thanks to an innovative new technology inside the radiators. It's called graphene, the lightest and strongest material on the planet. And if Enid had any worries about being an early adopter of this cutting-edge new system, they were allayed by the 20-year guarantee.
We thought it could be a good idea. It could be saving money, and it was going to be sort of the best thing since sliced bread.
So Enid signed on the dotted line and paid Complete Energy Europe £7,500 to take out her old gas heating system and replace it with 9 new Zephyro G-Rad radiators. But Enid's confidence in the new system soon started to fade.
They put the first lot of radiators in, they didn't work. I probably did have doubts, but because they took my gas central heating out, I had to go with it. I had no heating. But then they fetched me some new radiators, they put them in, thought, great.
With the system finally now in place, Enid thought she could relax. The very next evening, her smart new heaters began to smoke.
The second night that we had them in, the fire alarm went off in the hallway, and we rushed downstairs, opened the kitchen door, and you couldn't see the radiator had burnt out.
The radiator hadn't gone alight, but the choking fumes from an electrical fault inside was enough to make Enid switch the whole system off. Complete Energy Europe offered to install another replacement set of radiators, and Enid, not sure she had any other option, agreed.
What do we do? Do I pay another £8,000 to get my gas put back in? Because they weren't going to give me my money back. I knew that. I was nearly in tears. But where did I go from here?
2 months earlier, 100 miles away from where Enid lives, the same thing had happened to Val and Jeff Higginson from Stoke-on-Trent. They'd paid Complete Energy £6,000 for their new system, but less than 2 weeks after it was installed, Val and Jeff also smelled smoke.
As I was going into the hallway, I said to Jeffrey, "Oh, I said, there's a funny smell in here. There's something wrong. And as I opened the bedroom door, the smell was horrendous. It nearly knocked you over. It was that strong. And when I looked, the panel heater had set on fire.
The room where it caught fire is where we actually slept. I dread to think what had happened later on if we'd have been asleep with the fumes. I dread to think.
Val and Jeff opened windows and doors to let the smoke out and contacted the fire brigade. Fire safety manager Kelvin Napper visited them after the fire and is in no doubt about what could have happened.
If you'd had your bed closer to it, or it had been a child's room where there were toys, comics, papers up against it, that really had the potential to cause a serious fire. If you'd have been in bed fast asleep and that had happened, you might not have woken up.
It's frightening, that is.
When Kelvin first inspected the heaters, it wasn't just the smoke damage he could see that made him worry. There were things he couldn't see that caused more concern.
With a heater, you tend to find a sign saying, do not place items on top, hot surface. You know, I can't see that. There may be a CE mark or British standards that are marked on the back, but there's nothing showing on it.
So he's returned to take the heater off the wall and look more closely for those vital warning labels and safety markings.
The first thing that strikes me is a complete lack of any information on it whatsoever. There's no country of origin, there's no British standard, there's no CE mark, there's no voltage, ampage or any information whatsoever on any side. No idea where to come from.
The law says that any electrical goods such as these heaters must meet certain standards and bear the CE mark, but neither Val and Jeff's radiators nor Enid's display any CE marks or details about the power supply. So Kelvin's second visit has confirmed Val and Jeff's worst fears.
We've paid £6,000 for this new heating system. Are you telling us not to use them?
I would advise you not to use these products until we're 100% guaranteed that they are safe.
So whilst the fire service continues to monitor the safety of these radiators, what's the truth of those very bold promises made about the technology inside them? The glossy brochure says that each radiator contains a layer of graphene, cutting-edge material that's super strong and very good at conducting heat. It's supposedly what makes this system so efficient that it can slash up to 70% off a home's energy bills. Now that's a very ambitious claim. So we've brought Val and Jeff's radiator to an energy expert at Sheffield University to see if he thinks the product matches the pitch.
This radiator system is meant to be able to save you about 70% on your heating bills. I find this very unlikely. Every kilowatt hour you put in to the radiator comes out as 1 kilowatt hour of heat into your room. So this radiator is unlikely to be able to be cheaper than any other electric radiator.
And the professor doesn't seem any more impressed by the claim that the radiator can generate more heat with less power.
They claim that the graphene within this radiator creates a better form of infrared radiation. I find it very unlikely that this will have any effect at all because there are other layers between the graphene and the outside of the radiator.
So he's cutting into the radiator to see if the claims are plausible. But when he does, with the graphene buried deep inside, he can't see how this could possibly be the efficient, bill-busting system that manufacturers Zephyro Trade Limited claim.
I can't see how this radiator would be significantly cheaper to run than any other electric radiator.
Nonetheless, it's all part of a sales pitch that's tempted plenty of people to put down a deposit on these systems. We've heard from 8 unhappy customers, some of whom, like Colin Newsom from Leeds, haven't even had their systems installed.
I paid out £3,100. This was for round about 8 or 9 radiators. They were going to be fitted within 6 weeks, and it never happened.
Exasperated by the continued delays, Colin decided to cancel the purchase, but he's had no refund from retailer Complete Energy Europe, And though after we filmed with him he did get letters from the manufacturer Zefro Trade Limited offering to refund his deposit in instalments or to install the radiators if he preferred, that didn't happen either, and the company's phone numbers are no longer active.
In the benefit of hindsight, I wish I'd never ever invited them through my door.
We wrote to Complete Energy Europe for its take on all this, but I'm afraid as yet we've heard absolutely nothing back. And we couldn't help thinking there was a distinct similarity between this story and one we featured in our last series. Then, too, we'd heard from viewers disgruntled with an apparently high-tech heating system supposed to slash your bills once again by as much as 70%.
I feel like I've made a fool of myself and I've gone and done the most stupidest thing.
Now, in that case, the ERAD systems you told us about were being sold by a Northwest-based company called Optima Energy Solutions Limited. And one of that business's directors just happens to also be a director of Zefro Trade Limited, the company behind the GRAD system that's the subject of these latest complaints. What's more, Zefro Trade Limited is registered to the same address as Complete Energy Europe, the company selling the systems. Even in what's quite a specialised field, these connections between these businesses seem more than just coincidence. So we got in touch with all the companies involved and with the director that two of them have in common. But again, we heard nothing back. So while it's clear that the best advice for the rest of us is to be wary of any heating system sold on the promise that its breakthrough technology will cut your bills, unfortunately Val and Jeff and Enid too have paid out thousands of pounds for something they don't have any confidence in and wish they'd never put in their homes.
Well, I wish I'd never come across this company. I mean, at our time of life, senior citizens, we don't want this hassle.
I believe it'll have to be all ripped out. We'll have to start afresh.
I really wish I'd never accepted that cold call. I wish I'd never heard of Complete Energy, and I wish I'd still got my gas in.